Hello there and good morning. Well, the Remoaners were there, weren't they? Screeching about a Brexit petrol crisis as cars queued for miles to get a litre or two. And now? As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. Well, that one didn't last long, did it? The Remoaners boarded their rickety anti-Brexit battle bus, loudly proclaiming that the recent petrol and diesel shortages were all down to Brexit. Just plain wrong again, and now not a sight to be seen of any of them. The government has a meeting with the big road fuel providers. One of those providers, allegedly anti-Brexit and pro-cheap foreign labour, selectively leaks a few comments about potential petrol and diesel shortages, and the pro-EU press leap on them and set about causing a general panic amongst motorists that they will never see a litre of fuel in their lives ever again. Huge queues, frayed tempers and isolated acts of violence while drivers line up in front of forecourts to top up their tanks. They dug out their dusty, cobweb-covered petrol cans from the backs of garages and poured as much as they could into them. They filled their water bottles, and some stupidly even tried to carry petrol away in plastic bags. I'm surprised bathtubs weren't wheeled in on trailers and goldfish expelled from their bowls to provide extra storage space. And all the while the national reserve of road fuel at the roadside pumps rapidly diminished, further fueling the panic. But that soon subsided. Once those involved had filled up every receptacle at their disposal and the forecourt retailers had pumped up their fuel prices to fleece their selfish stupidity, the stream of tankers that keeps the petrol station storage tanks filled ensured that normality was restored. Now, I made an interesting graphic from experimental data on forecourt storage tank reserves supplied by the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, the BEIS. This data set was started in late January 2020 and there is now almost 2 years of daily data available showing how full forecourt storage tanks are, in percentage terms, for all areas across Great Britain as well as the total GB-wide average. And as it covers Great Britain, it obviously excludes Northern Ireland. And this graphic shows the GB average data for petrol and diesel combined. And as you can see, stocks in forecourt storage tanks normally hovers in the low 40%. There was a glut in March and April 2020 as the first pandemic lockdown forced people off the roads and petrol deliveries initially continued, but then stocks were allowed to fall back to normal levels. Christmas and New Year also saw a small increase in storage reserves, but then steadied back to normal levels again. But once those selectively leaked comments were released to the press, the panic buying started and the forecourt storage reserves started evaporating at speed. But once those panic buying drivers had completely filled every single tank they could and had also emptied their wallets in the process, as well as a few more tankers being brought online with some army help, order was rapidly restored. Now, had the petrol shortage really been a Brexit issue, then this recovery would not have been possible. And if the shortage was a long-term lack of fuel itself, there would be no way that those storage tanks could have been refilled so quickly. Or are the Remoaners claiming we suddenly imported tens of thousands of EU HGV drivers, or that the EU suddenly sent us loads and loads of petrol and diesel? Well, that didn't happen, did it? In fact, the number of drivers we agreed to take from the EU was somewhere in the region of maybe 100 or 200, a mere drop in the ocean, and I don't know if they're even here yet. Anyway, here's what the BEIS had to say on the matter. Whilst average sales for the last 4 weeks as a whole were in line with a typical week before the first lockdown, which started the 23rd of March 2020, there was a significant change to sales for the 5 days starting from Friday the 24th of September. Sales within the sample were up 80% on the Friday and remained substantially above average volumes until the middle of the following week, when they began to trend back to normal levels. And it goes on to say, as a result of this increased demand, average stock levels in the sampled filling stations dropped significantly, falling to a low of 15% on Saturday the 25th of September, before gradually increasing over the following week as deliveries outpaced sales. And overall, as of last Sunday, across Great Britain, we're back to an average of 45%, with 42% in London and Wales and 47% in the South West and Yorkshire and the Humber. Petrol crisis? What petrol crisis? Get back in your box, Remoaners. Now, I caught Tom Harwood on GB News yesterday and heard some very heartening words from one of his guests. But before I get to that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. Now, Tom Harwood of GB News had a chat on the show yesterday with former New Zealand Trade Minister Tim Grozer about the freshly minted UK-New Zealand free trade deal. Yes, we now have a deal with the Kiwis, with the government saying a comprehensive trade agreement with New Zealand will cut red tape for businesses, end tariffs on UK exports, and create new opportunities for tech and service companies while making it easier for UK professionals to live and work in New Zealand. Anyway, in the course of welcoming this new deal, Tim Grozer told the GB News political correspondent that, "I'm beginning to rethink my entire position on Brexit, in light of both the Australia-UK deal and the New Zealand-UK deal." And he explained that he is in fact UK-born of what he considers to be a middle-class family who went to New Zealand when he was about 10. And as such, he said he would have voted for remaining in the EU in the 2016 EU referendum had he still lived here. But he said he's been very surprised at the ambition of the UK government in doing the Australia and New Zealand deals. "I think Britain has strategically placed itself in a very, very strong position after Brexit in terms of international trade policy," he said. Going on to say that he's now very optimistic about the future prospects of this country. "Isn't it a pity that there are so many UK politicians, officials and members of the press who spend so much of their time undermining our country through both actions and deeds? Isn't it about time that we reversed their decades-long obsession with dismantling the UK? Isn't it time we halted the incessant drive to abolish our history and culture? Isn't it time that we cancelled those who are trying to cancel us?" So what's your opinion on the petrol so-called crisis and the UK-Kiwi deal? Please like and comment below.